Right, it should be going live any time now. We should be live now, Sam. Hi everybody,
Hello.
welcome to the stream tonight. As you can see, I've got Sam on. Hopefully we should be being joined by Claire as well at some point, and possibly Andy from Elemental Encounters if he comes on, but I ain't heard of him, so I don't know yet. What we're going to do tonight is basically you can pick any topics you want in the chat, just put them in, and we'll give you our opinions on, whatever it is paranormal. Me and Sam do have varied opinions on things, so it ain't like, we're going to agree with each other all the while.
Do you know the thing? Do you know what I was going to? Do you know when you just mentioned there we varied opinions?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the two of us sometimes have completely different opinions.
Yeah.
We never fall out.
No.
We never fall out. Everybody's opinion's going to be different.
Yeah. And especially with something like the paranormal, because it is basically you're covering subjects that there's no proof for one way or the other anyway, and basically that's why they're paranormal. They're above, they're above what is considered normal. One of the things I did want to discuss, but Claire ain't on yet, was going to be witchcraft. People's modern opinions on witchcraft. I have got an interesting picture to show you in a bit. Now, there's actually a canal path that I walk down pretty much every single day, and there is a very interesting piece of graffiti on the wall of the bridge, the one bridge I walk under, concerning witches. Now, this graffiti has been on that bridge for about 18 months, to my knowledge. Obviously, it was there before then, but I've known of its existence for about 18 months. So I took a picture of it today, and I'll put it up in a bit, because it's quite an interesting quote from the Bible, and I thought it was quite interesting, that such a modern day opinion of somebody to put that was quite interesting, considering, our people have been more accepting of witchcraft recently, particularly in the last 50 years or so, post-war. Is she going to pour you again?
High five. High five. High five. High five.
Any subject you want to start with, Sam? Want to pick anything paranormal and we'll discuss it?
Nothing sparked. Nothing jumped into my mind.
Like I say, anybody in chat, if you want us to cover a subject, just put it in the chat, and then we'll discuss it with you in the chat, and then you can hear my opinion on it, Sam's opinion on it, and hopefully Claire's opinion on it when she turns up. Probably still sticking all the glitter and everything on, but I have messaged her with the link, so she should be here soon. Right, Sam, your opinion on ghosts, being that it's what you cover mainly on your channel.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a video on this at some point.
Right.
The human mind always sort of needs a picture.
Right.
In their mind of what they cannot see.
Right.
For instance, you go to the Catholic Church and you have a picture of Mary, you have a picture of Jesus, you have a picture of the apostles. It may not be an accurate representation of Jesus, but we can't see. And the way back, there was no photography or anything like that. And I think it was Michelangelo that came up with those pictures. But that's the imagery that we use. And throughout this journey, the imagery that goes through my head is sometimes some of the reconstructions that happen on TV shows, like a silhouette of a person that you can see through and stuff like that. And that picture goes through your head.
Right.
But it's constantly in my mind. Am I talking to spirits? Am I talking to ghosts?
Right.
And do they take the form of what they were in life?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Hi, Claire.
Hello, Claire. How do?
How do?
She's finally it. Right, what we're doing tonight, Claire, we're just going to do, people can type in the chat what they want to ask about various paranormal topics. We're currently doing ghosts. Sam's just giving us her opinion on ghosts.
Yeah.
And then you can give us yours in a minute. Oh, Jace has just popped up. I got a bone to pick with Jace. I had to do my own coffee before I started, Sam. Right, so do you believe, Sam, that the ghosts are actually people of the dead, dead people, or do you believe that they're just somebody subconscious that desperate to keep in touch with loved ones and stuff like that? That is what they're seeing.
Well, my heart is saying yes, but my brain is saying I just don't know.
Yeah. See, my opinion of ghosts is I think ghosts are a very mixed bag. I do believe that some of them are genuinely dead people, spirits, consciousnesses, whatever you want to call them. I also think that there is a psychological side to ghosts as well, where some people get to the position where they're that deep in grief that their mind will generate things just to give them a bit of comfort. I do believe they can be internalized ghosts as well. I do often wonder as well, which is really interesting, could they possibly be, say, thousands of years in the future, we've developed technology where we can come back in time to view the past? Could we actually, what we think are, some of them we think are ghosts, and this could apply to aliens as well, could they actually be people from the future coming back into the past, and we're seeing them on a slightly different kind of vibration?
Like time travelers?
Say again, Claire.
Do you mean like time travelers?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
interesting that, because there is some pictures out there, isn't there, where they look a bit odd because of a certain person that usually don't fit in with.
Yeah. One of the most famous cases of that is the woman when John F. Kennedy was shot.
Yeah.
And apparently there's this woman, there's various pictures of this woman at the time taking photographs, and she's got like a mask on and a scarf and sunglasses, and apparently she was quite close to where he was actually shot. And there's pictures of her on the coverage, but when they tried to trace her afterwards, absolutely no trace of her. And to this day, they have never been able to trace that woman, even though she was pivotal, because there's pictures of her on the cameras of her actually taking pictures as he was shot. But they've never. But when when the FBI and the CIA traced everybody who was there at the time, she is the one woman that they have never ever been able to find or identify.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
It's really quite an interesting one. So, what's your opinion on ghosts, then, Claire?
An opinion is, well, when I was younger, don't get me wrong, I'd swear that I used to go and I used to say there were a man sat on the end of my bed, not a man, an actual, and it happened to be my dad, obviously. Yeah. Growing up, oh God, this is so hard, because let's see, if we go back like 20 years, I would have said I believe ghosts are passed on family members, but now, like I'm 37, it's been a difficult one to answer, because honestly, I don't often see ghosts as ghosts. Yeah. I see light beings that come across as, like balls of light, or it's hard to explain, but they're just like up and down, energy. Yeah. I come across a lot of that, but honestly, ghosts as in no. So I don't know. I'm absolutely confuzzled with that one. I'll be honest.
The only thing I can ever say I've ever seen that was an apparition was when I had the poltergeist episode as a kid. And towards the end of it all happening, it actually appeared above me. But that was a bloke. That was a man. That was a man dressed like what I would say somebody who worked in a mine or a factories. And I've just got the distinct impression he was from the 30s, because it was that style of dress.
Yeah, that's the thing. I get feelings and I get energy, and I believe in that. That's something I believe in, because it's real. Energy is real. When I was younger, I used to see spirits willy-nilly, apparently, even if one I don't remember. But now I've got older, it's become more difficult to define a spirit, a ghost.
Yeah. Right. Go on, Sam.
Like I've had two apparitions that I've seen, and what we would describe as the stone tape theory. They didn't react to you. Basically, they just went past, no sound, but the visuals were there. And I mean, like there's a guy. He wrote a number of books. He used to be in Most Haunted. He does research on the paranormal.
Richard Felix.
Yeah, Richard Felix. He believes that 70% of ghost sightings are stone tape theory, which I think he's close on that.
Mm-hmm. Terry says they are intelligent energy, and remember, consciousness continues on. Totally agree with that, Terry. Jace has just mentioned something that I was going to tell everybody about tonight. Jace saw a shadow the other night in the bedroom while I was asleep. Basically, a little childlike thing. He said walked across the walked at the foot of the bed. He asked me if I'd actually seen anything in the bedroom, and what I hadn't told him was a couple of nights before I had actually seen a massive, and by massive I mean 6 foot black shadow standing in the bedroom doorway while I was in bed. And he just stood in the door. He came in a little into the bedroom, but he didn't move far. But Jay said the other night, and I hadn't told him, and funnily enough, he asked me this a couple of days after I'd seen it, and I started to laugh. Because I said, no. He says, have you seen anything in the bedroom? And I'm like, no, knowing I had, and I started to laugh, and then I ended up admitting to him. But what was interesting with Jace was he said he actually heard it moving before he saw it. He said he heard like moving, shuffling noises. And then when he looked, it was moving across the bottom of the bed. But it was basically...
Lee's just had a very... sorry, but Lee's just had a really interesting encounter, and Lee don't really believe in this stuff.
Right.
Would you like to enlighten him?
Just tell him
But I were upstairs. Christopher and Lee were downstairs, and I was upstairs sorting myself out. And all of a sudden, I heard like a chinkling, but then them two were like, "What in the?" And then I heard them flipping off like something magic had happened, and I'm like, "Oh God, something's happening down there." Lee said the knife was on the side, and he said, "Don't get me wrong, I know on a board it can slide off. Everybody knows that, can't it? A cutting board, it can." He didn't do that. He actually pointed upwards and spun.
See, that was different. That was similar to what Jace experienced in the old house when the coffee rolled, the gravy thing rolled towards him across the work surface.
Yeah,
that was very similar to what Jace had to happen.
The
only other thing that was really interesting, funnily enough, it only happened yesterday. I was upstairs cleaning something, and Jace rang me. So I had to run downstairs and answer the phone to him, which was down here on my computer desk. So I answered the phone, thought nothing of it. And then about 20 minutes later, Jace came back. And I'm sitting there and I suddenly thought, oh, I need my phone. Got up to take my phone off the computer desk, and it wasn't there. So I said to Jace, please will you ring my phone? I don't know where it is. Jace rang my phone. It was actually on the very top step on the landing, smack bang in the middle of the stairs. And that phone had moved within the space of 20 minutes because I've literally used it 20 minutes before talking to Jace. And then when I went to pick my phone up, I thought, where's my phone? I ain't moved my phone since I spoke to Jace. And then I got him to ring it, and he'll confirm this in the chat. It was literally on the top of the stairs when it rang. On the landing.
I'm Superwoman.
Honestly, that was quite weird. But we've had nothing going on in this house for 8 months, and then the last few weeks we've started to get stuff happening again. And Jace is convinced it's because I've started doing this again. Because it's only started happening since I've started streaming again on the channel. And Jace is convinced that this has got something to do with it. That whether talking about it is attracting things, but I don't know.
I think there's people that can attract as well, Brett. Our energy can attract. Yeah. They might just like you.
Go on, Sam. What were you going to say?
I was just want to give Map TUK a shout out there. He says says hello to me. Sorry.
Right, I did notice further up the chat that Terry had asked something about shapeshifters. So we'll do that one next. Okay, Sam, what is your opinion on shapeshifters, or I suppose you can class skinwalkers in that as well? I always love Sam's responses on these. Go on.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, you know, there's been a lot of stories, you know, around the Irish castles here, and very often the shapeshifters and that is always seems to be associated with the elemental side, you know.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't look into things. You know, I kind of do things in a kind of a simple sort of way.
Yeah.
You know.
So if somebody said to you, Sam, shapeshifter or skinwalker, what image does that conjure up for you? What is your perception of what a skinwalker actually is?
I don't have any perception of what a skinwalker is, because, you know, the name itself just sounds like a Slender Man or something, you know.
Right,
and I just stay away from a lot of them subjects.
Yeah. So see, skinwalkers, they've been around hell of a long time because they are very prevalent in Native American culture. That is basically where they originated from, and you know, because they're such a spiritual nation, and a lot of what they did is shamanism. You know, it's that kind of thing. So they are, for me, they are. I don't believe that skinwalkers themselves are actually material type beings. I think they are more on the realms of a spiritual energy type being rather than an actual, you know, where you see your werewolves, where people turn from people into wolves. For me, that's a physical thing. But I think skinwalkers in general, because a lot of the time they are seen as things like elks, but really huge man-like things up to 12 feet tall, a bit like the Bigfoot. Franz asked if we think shapeshifters are connected to the Fae. I do believe that some of the Fae do possess the ability to shapeshift. Not all of them, but some of them do. But for me, I personally think that skinwalkers or shapeshifters or whatever are definitely more of an energy thing than a physical one, because it is easier for energy to manifest itself in whatever form it wants, more so than a physical thing doing that. Claire?
Well, I suppose I don't know for definite because nobody really does.
No.
But what I was told is that yes, it's energy that's changing. It's not physically the body is not. However, I guess it's like astral travel. Okay, so somewhere the body will lay dormant.
Yeah.
This whatever you want to call it, ethereal spirit, so would travel, and that would be able to change, but not the actual physical body of a person. No. When it comes to skinwalkers. So I do personally believe that they are more energy, because honestly, I can't see a body going through that and surviving.
Yeah, see, this is what it is for me, because, you know, a physical body has only got a certain mass, you know, and even if a body was capable of changing that quick into something else, they would still only be that X amount of mass for the body to change into something else, you know. So where they're saying people are changing into, you know, horse-sized wolves, for me that is physically impossible, because they haven't got the mass there in the first place. And this is why I think it is more of an energy thing, you know, a spiritual type thing, more so than a physical type one. But I do believe that there are things out there that are capable of doing it. I really do. You know, I do believe that what the Native Americans describe as skinwalkers did and still do exist.
But do you class a Wendigo? I'm going to say it like that because I don't.
Yeah, Wendigo.
Do you class that the same as a skinwalker?
Yes, similar kind. I wouldn't say they're exactly the same, but I think they are a very similar kind of thing.
Yeah, because that's
interesting with the Wendigos. They tend to be more in the American states, whereas shapeshifters and stuffs were in the Canadian type laws as well of the Native Americans. But the actual Wendigos tended to be more in the forests of the the Midwestern stuff. Coco, be quiet. Right. Sam, James asked, you mentioned the Bigfoot that was supposedly seen in Ireland. Hang on a minute. Give me a sec.
Doug doesn't like Bigfoot. Dog definitely doesn't like Bigfoots. Your dog doesn't like Bigfoots.
That's Coco. I've just opened the door. This guy's standing there. You got weed? I went now next door, mate.
Oh.
This is what.
Wow.
Yeah, get it all the while, Claire. All the time.
Gosh. Wow.
All the time.
You should have said, no, I'm a police officer.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God, the face. I'd have loved to have seen that face.
Yeah, I have it all the time. They come to the wrong age. How they get 60 mixed up with 62 is beyond me. But there you go. Right,
yeah.
Sam.
Yeah.
We were talking about
Bigfoot in Ireland.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's laughing now. James was asking about the Bigfoot in Ireland. One, have you heard anything else about it? And two, what's your opinion on Bigfoot? And we're probably going to get the same response as aliens here, Claire. Go on.
Yeah. I tried looking up on that article and actually can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
But the article itself said it was in Ballyboley Forest.
Yeah.
And the team that I sometimes work with, it's one of those spots that they have investigated a number of times. A lot of history of people going in there and not coming out. Visions of people in long dark cloaks and apparitions and stuff.
What me, Sam? What me? Not this time.
It was Rachel who read me out the report,
Yeah.
and it was basically a large, upright, hairy creature breaking a big lump of a stick. And I can't remember the rest of it, but I went to look it up, and it turned out in 2017 there was another Bigfoot sighting,
right,
in a different forest in Northern Ireland. I can't remember the actual name of the forest,
right,
but I am going to look it up, and I am going to see if it's nearby and see if we can do some stuff.
So are these quite big forests, Sam? Because Ireland itself ain't a very big country, is it? So, that if there are Bigfoot in these forests, they've got to be fairly substantially sized wooded areas, I'd have thought.
Forested areas in Ireland, they're not overly massive.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have areas like, the moors, vast areas of land where there's absolutely completely nothing. There is a couple of areas, but there'll be few and far between. When you think about it, Ireland is a small island. I can get from where I am over to the other side to Belfast in less than 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So,
go on, Sam. Sorry.
You were going to ask me my opinion on Bigfoot.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask. So, what is your opinion on Bigfoot in general? What's the face crack, Claire? Go on.
I am watching.
When people say that they're from the elemental side of things, I think there's some sort of rare monkey, but then that doesn't fit either.
Rare monkey.
big, massive, smelly monkey. But
oh, they stink. They definitely stink.
Yeah, this is one of the. Go on, Sam.
The thing too is, the Bigfoot is classed as the social distancing world champion because they're rarely seen.
Oh, I was trying to swallow that coffee without spitting it everywhere then.
Oh, God.
Elizabeth says is it Ballybowley? Is that how you pronounce it, Sam? What is it? You bloody Irish and your weird place names? Ballybowley. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Right. Apparently that's where it is, Ballybowley, and apparently it's tiny.
Yeah. Yeah. We intend to go there at some stage with my big torch of justice. Hopefully we don't get killed.
Mm-hmm. See, my opinion on Bigfoot is I genuinely. Sorry, excuse me, I nearly choked on that coffee then.
God.
I honestly believe that Bigfoot is some kind of interdimensional thing. Because,
my opinion too.
One, they are often associated with UFO sightings and or strange craft appearing from nowhere and disappearing. But there are also a lot of cases out there, if you get deep into Bigfoot stories and stuff, which I do, I follow them all the while. And believe it or not, there have been many, many sightings where people have physically seen them walk into what they describe as a portal and disappear. And I think this is why a lot of the times when people see Bigfoot and they said they walk off into the forest and within 3 strides they've disappeared, I think this is what they're doing. They're passing between different dimensions. Claire?
Same as you, Brett. Totally believe that. They use portals to travel. They're interdimensional. Definitely, usually there has been some sort of craft seen before there's been some sort of Bigfoot sighting, so it kind of does link. So yeah, I've got the same beliefs with you on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when you think about it, Ireland isn't that huge. Like, where's a big hairy monkey supposed to hide? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. A big hairy smelly monkey, so.
Yeah.
With social distancing skills.
It's a difficult one,
James says, Brett, that's what's making me wonder if
that is the best description I've ever heard of Bigfoot in my life.
Social distancing champion. James says, Brett, that's what makes me wonder if the forest that Sam mentions, it possibly could be acting as some kind of portal. See, this is why I think that they always get sighted in the middle of forest. Well, not always in the middle of forest, but in forested areas, because I think if they are coming in and out of this reality via some kind of portal, it's going to be highly visible if it appeared in the middle of a field. And I think this is why they're using forested areas, because it's not so much that they particularly like the forest areas. I think it's easier for them to disguise how they're coming in and out. That is what I think.
Yeah.
Hi, Maureen.
Right. Brett, do you believe they travel in orbs, guys? Do you believe that they can travel in orbs?
What, Bigfoot?
Like that they're an orb, and then when they, then they form into a Bigfoot.
Possibly, because if they're coming through dimensions, that's going to be some kind of energy transfer. So they could possibly appear as whatever they want to before they appear in the final form. So it could be possible they could float around as orbs and then turn into something else. Which brings me on nicely to the next one, which we're going to talk about, which is the Fae. Right, Sam. So we're covering leprechauns and everything here. Now this is the realm of the Irish.
I want to put a go.
So what is your opinion on the Fae?
Well, on an Irish side of things, there is a mountain in Ireland. And there was a tiny shoe found on this mountain by a farmer who brought that shoe to the doctor, I think it was. The shoe was analysed, and the shoe turned out to be made from mouse skin, with tiny stitching, and wear on the sole of their
this
shoe.
is the one that Andy's mentioned before, isn't it?
Yeah, it turned out it was mouse skin.
You know, but they said that it was actually, if it would have been scaled up to a human size, it was totally out of proportion, weren't it, for a human foot?
Yeah.
It was bigger than a human foot, but apparently even the stitching and the wear was consistent with somebody, you know, actually wearing it. Now, I've always said, one, why would somebody have hidden that somewhere really remote? And two, why would they have gone to all that trouble of, you know, of trying to fake something to that much detail and leave it in such a remote area? Surely if you've gone to that much trouble to fake something, you'd stick it somewhere you're guaranteed somebody's going to find it. Not in some like remote mountain top.
I think it was found in a wall, a stone wall or something, you know, surrounding a field or something like that. Something like that. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Do you know? Do you know?
I believe Andy said there was also a small coke found as well.
Yeah, there was skeletons, but I think the skeletons turned out to be hoaxes and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I think a lot of the leprechaun skeletons, in fact, you know, they're on par with these fairy skeletons you can buy off eBay. You know, they're basically fakes.
Well, you know, the interesting part of that is, you know, Andy went from the paranormal ghost hunting to the elemental side, and you know, he wasn't on YouTube for a while, and when he came back, you know, I started to, you know, I have no reason to not believe him. And you know, I says to him, do you know something, Andy? I'm going to go out to the woods. You know, I'm going to go out and I'm going to film in the woods, and I'm going to keep an open mind and that. And I went to the woods and that, but the thing was, I went to the abandoned army fort on the mountains, and I was still going through my mind and wondered, am I talking to ghosts, or is there little creatures walking around?
This is another thing that comes into the realm of spirit boxes. Always should, you know, are we talking to elementals?
And I was thinking, you know, maybe there is this thing, you know, and this was going through my head. And I was walking towards the building that got burnt down and that. And I done a spirit box session. And when I done the premiere, Andy happened to be in the premiere and that. And I actually, when I done the spirit box, you know, I can't remember the question I asked, but the answer I got was, I'm a gnome.
I can remember that.
And I'm thinking, where on a radio broadcast would somebody say, I'm a gnome?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah, I remember that. That was at that 40 place, wasn't it?
It was Fort Dunree on the top of the mountain and that. You know, so, you know, is the spiritual world tuned into our brains? You know, I didn't say on camera, right, you know, I'm going around, I'm going to, you know, try to do some spirit box session. Maybe we might see some elementals. I didn't say any of that. I was just going through my head, do you know?
Yeah. See, for me, I do believe in them. I don't believe that they're the Disney version of what they're depicted as. You know, they're not the Tinkerbells and the pretty little girls with, you know, flower dresses and butterfly wings. You know, from my experience, and it's only limited experience compared to Andy. The one I saw when I was with Andy was definitely not cute-looking Tinkerbell type thing. They are quite ugly. Grotesque is the best way to put it. You know, they're grotesque to what we consider pretty and to what people expect. The other thing that, you know, I think the history of the fae goes back thousands of years. And I've always said that, you know, things like that endure for that long, they have got to be based on some kind of truth. Every myth at its kernel has got a truth. What is also interesting to note in Ireland, until Christianity took root in Ireland, do you know there is absolutely no Irish history on ghosts? It was all fae related. Everything in Ireland pre-Christian, all Irish folklore pre-Christian was fae related. There was nothing to do with ghosts, which I find really, really interesting.
I have I have four copies of the Cottonley fairies above my mantelpiece, and I see them every day. To this day, they're the best photographs that I have, because there's so much of a mystery and so much of a story to that. And every time you look at them pictures, so much goes through your head.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of these? Do you know?
Yeah.
And what is the possibility of the story of these? You know?
Yeah. The other thing that is interesting to note is not so much with the Scottish, because the Scottish and the Irish fae myths and beliefs are very similar. The Scottish see them more as a positive force, but the Irish have always viewed them more as a negative thing, ain't they?
Yeah. Hawthorn trees in fields. A lot of hawthorn trees are, farmers are scared to cut down their hawthorn trees.
Yeah.
If they're classed as fairy trees or anything like that. There was a tree cut down near a house that I rented, and the guy that was supposed to move into that house died before he got to move in. And when I moved in, I actually was feared in the village.
Yeah.
And that's 2009, 2010. I was feared because I moved into that house, because some guy cut down a tree in a field, belonged to that house, and he himself got injured by the tree. The tree fell on him. And it was...
was it an hawthorn, Sam?
It was actually an oak tree, actually.
Was it? Because apparently
it was...
I know in Irish myth and legend, a lot of farmers will not touch the white hawthorns, will they? Because they're considered sacred to the fairies.
Yeah.
It's considered extremely bad luck to even touch, any type of hawthorn on the land. Jace has just picked me to some... Hang on, let me just say, Jace has just picked me to somewhere I was going to bring into the fae thing. You might be interested in this, Claire. Now, he didn't tell me about this till he'd been doing it for a number of days, but apparently when Jace goes down the canal, he's put 2 pennies on a tree stump somewhere off the path. And every day when he goes down, these coins are arranged in a different position on the log, but they haven't been touched. They haven't been taken. Yeah. And he was doing that for days before he told me about it. And he's just mentioned it in the chat.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah, Elizabeth there has just mentioned Leap Castle. You may see an elemental, there is one there. The elemental at Leap Castle is why I really want to go there, because it is rumoured to be a red cap. Now, a red cap is probably one of the most vicious of all what are considered fae. They are basically murderous little psychopaths. They normally carry an axe or a scythe with them. They attack from ambush, and they basically kill for blood. It is rumoured that their red cap on their head gets the colour from the blood that they soak in of the victims. And if a red cap ever dries out, the red cap dies, and this is why they are supposedly having to kill every so often to keep the cap fed with blood. So that is why I'd like to go to Leap Castle. The other legend that's connected to the elemental, or the other explanation that's given for it, is Leap Castle is actually built on the site of a druidic temple where they used to indoctrinate all the young druids, and they believe that the elemental was placed there to guard the druid temple. So there's two beliefs on what the elemental are. There's no doubt that there's an elemental there, but some people claim it is a red cap, others claim it was conjured by the druids at the temple that is literally on the site of where Leap Castle was built.
Yeah, I never got an opportunity to go to Leap Castle because I can't sleep overnight.
How far is Leap from you, Sam?
Oh, it's the other end of the country. It's down south.
I believe. Now, I don't know if you can see it, Brett, but actually, Andy's had this in his hand and looked at it. That's my brownie.
Yeah.
You might not see it here.
There's a lot of reflection.
Yeah.
Andy came and actually seen these pictures, and he absolutely adores that picture. It's one of the best pictures. It's a weird, ugly looking thing, don't get me wrong, but it is, you can see it. No, you can't see it on camera. You can't, that's the thing, I need to, because you can't.
James has just put something interesting. When I was young, we had an old apple tree with an owl in it, and every morning there would be a square of white quartz left in it. I think I've mentioned this before. I haven't heard you mention that, James. That's really interesting.
I've not heard that, James.
Andy done a video there a while back with a lot of photographs, and to be honest with you, I cannot say that they're pareidolia, because they're just a lot of these images to just stand out,
Mm-hmm.
That's what I found amazing about them,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Andy's favourite one of mine is that one.
When we come over, Claire, at the beginning of the month, I'll have a look at them.
Have a look. You need to take this memory card and fucking look at that. I'm telling you, there's about 5,000 images from when I was about 12.
Yeah, it's always them always better to look at, like on a screen than trying to show them on a camera, because you get the reflection and everything, so they're all to pick up. Right, we'll go on to another subject now, and this is the one that Sam always gags on. Aliens, Sam.
Ooh, little green man. The little green man.
See, now that is interesting. You say little green men, because the vast majority of sightings, even though most people say little green men, they're actually little grey men.
I could be a blue alien. For some reason, I'm flipping blue today again. I got new lighting, and I'm still flipping blue.
Is it a bulb that's doing it, or is it actually a?
I proper LED studio lighting.
Yeah, I've got an LED light, and you can change it from like blue to yellowy type thing. You may need to turn the button on it to turn the blue off. It'll help a bit if it's got a thing on it.
Yeah, there is a tungsten setting on it. It should be a little bit more browner, because the white light makes things look a bit blue and stuff.
Yeah.
Aliens. Now there was a case a number of years ago. It's not that long ago. It's a couple of years ago, and the sound footage is on YouTube. If you search for Shannon air traffic control footage of a UFO. One of the airlines, I think it was on approach, seen an unidentified flying object in his vision, and the conversation went on between the pilot and ground control. Yeah. And as far as I know, I don't think ground control actually picked it up. Right. But the airplane did. I'm not 100% sure about that, but the recorded footage is actually on YouTube. And I think it's happened more than once in Shannon for some reason,
Have you heard of any Men in Black reports in Ireland, Sam, after any sightings? No. Do you have many Men in Black reports?
No, and we don't have that many UFO reports anywhere.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
I could be wrong. Because I don't look into the UFO sightings and that. But I did have an uncle. Who had a amateur radio station, and he had a huge antenna on a big tower, and that he used to speak to people all over the world. But I remember when I was younger, going through some of his magazines and that, and they were UFO magazines, and you got a free vinyl single with audio which they portrayed as alien audio communication.
All right.
You know, so he was sort of into that. I don't know too much about that because I was very young at the time. But it looked like he was experimenting through the amateur radio bands for these kind of communications.
Did he ever say whether he'd actually picked anything up, Sam?
That I don't know. I was too young.
Yeah.
But I did play some of the audio, and I remember it to this day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the audio, it explains that some of the communication came through backwards, and you had to reverse it. When you reversed it, you had perfect communication.
Yeah. See, I'm always, you know, a bit wary of things like that. It's like when people do like ghosts, when they claim they've had communication from dead people and stuff, and they say, "Oh, you can only hear it when you play it in reverse." My argument to that is, why bother going to all that trouble? If you want people to hear the message, why not just say it as it should be said? Why would you transmit it backwards?
But then again, the whole paranormal is a complete mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, a lot of these recordings, you know, we're going back to the days before we started using scanned frequencies and that. We're talking about frequencies with no human sound on them.
Mm-hmm.
Static noise from a certain frequency and these communications coming through. But I do not know to this day what his involvement in all this, because he could have been communicating with other enthusiasts all over the world. All I know, there was a big map on the wall, and it was riddled with pins.
Mm-hmm.
Where he had communicated, and you could hardly see the map of the world. He had contacted that many people.
Wow.
You know,
wake up.
It's not that. I'm in pain. Trying to open.
You all right?
I can't even open frigging water.
Ask Lee to do it.
Lack of strength. Can't even do that.
So, what's your opinion on aliens then, or extraterrestrials, as some people like to call them?
Gosh, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna probably not like me for this, but
No, I don't mind. One way or the other.
I was told that they're actually still part of the Fae, but they're just more advanced.
Yeah.
So,
Andy always says that the Fae have told him that extraterrestrials don't exist. That they're not from other planets.
Right, and I believe that. I believe it because I've been taught it. I haven't been taught any other way. I totally think that what we perceive, what we know as stars, are not actually stars. Some of them are something else.
Right.
But in all, I don't think they're extraterrestrials coming from other planets. No.
Right. I believe they are. I believe they're a mixture of things. I believe some are coming from outer space, and I believe some are coming from inner space. I think they're coming from various locations.
Well, they do look all different, yeah.
Do you two know about the Travis Walton case? It's quite a famous case where a guy he was in a logging crew and he was abducted. There's a film about him. I think it was. Is it called Taken?
Yes,
when
it is.
He disappeared for 5 days.
He did, yes.
Well, recently, they're fast asleep, yipping to herself. Recently, they have had a scientific team there that are actually testing the site of where Travis was actually allegedly abducted from. Mm-hmm. And what they have realised that the trees are actually growing 200% faster in that area, in that clearing, than they are anywhere else in the forest. The other thing that they've noticed as well is the growth on the trees is all on the side facing inwards to the clearing. So they're doing radiation tests on the actual clearing now, because they believe that there is actually physical proof that there was some kind of radioactive event that went on there at the time. They can actually tell by the rings in the trees. Apparently, the trees themselves are growing 200% faster than everywhere else in the area, they're literally massively taller than all the others, and they have got extra growth. It's almost like the trees are pointing inwards to the clearing, and they now believe that, you know, it's the what he reported there is definitely physical evidence there now that something that they think possibly of a radioactive nature occurred there. The abduction.
It's strange that, you know, it's commonly radioactive area, you know, is commonly associated with a craft landing.
Yeah.
Now, you know, the U.S. military claim that they have captured one of these crafts and have been messing around.
Have you ever heard of Bob Lazar?
Yeah.
Well, no. Bob Lazar is a guy who apparently claims to have worked at Area 51. Well, basically at Dreamland. If he is to believe, they have actually got 11 different craft. The US government that he knows to, he has actually seen 11 different craft.
Is it him who said there were a war underground?
No, but Bob Lazar was actually a scientist who they employed to work on the propulsion system of one of these craft. They were basically trying to reverse engineer the propulsion system on one of the craft, and basically he's seen 11 different craft that they kept on the Area 51 area, but it's actually in Dreamland, which was slightly a couple of miles to the, I think it was to the east of where people presume Area 51 was. It was like a secret installation inside a secret installation. Now the US government basically went out of their way to discredit him. They claimed he never worked there, this, that, and the other. He claimed they even tried to assassinate him at one point, but they got an investigative reporter got involved in the case, and he actually proved that he worked there, because the one thing the government had missed was there was an internal phone directory with everybody's phone extensions in, and he actually found Bob Lazar's name in that phone directory, proving that he did work there. But if he is to be believed, the US government are in possession of a minimum of 11 different types of alien craft. Sam's looking totally disbelieving at that.
I'm just wondering, is nuclear fusion involved in it, because of the fact that radiation is associated with a lot of the landings and that, you know?
What is interesting with it, Sam, is the craft he works on apparently worked on gravity fields using some kind of huge magnetic gravity generators. And he says this is why a lot of people, if a UFO is directly above them, you can't, unless you're directly under a craft, a lot of people don't see them, because apparently the way these anti-grav engines work, and apparently this is, you know, proper physics, they bend light so that they actually give, like, you know, a cloaking type effect. It's a secondary effect. Yeah. It's not like, but that is what it does. The gravity bends light and it gives the ships a cloak, you know, like a secondary cloaking effect.
Yeah, when you think about it too, you know, a moving magnet has an effect on the human body. That's how, you know, we have the not an awful lot of people use them now, but they're called EMF pumps.
Yeah.
And basically it's a little motor, and you get one of them computer fans, and you stick a couple of magnets.
A magnet, and let it spin.
Yep.
And I made a couple of them, and by accident, I left one of them on that was beside me on the desk. And you get the worst headache you would ever experience. It is terrible.
See, this is another thing that links back to ghosts, Sam, because, you know, a lot of people, you know, are of the belief that spirits, apparitions, ghosts, whatever you want to call them, are always connected to EMF energy. And this is why we use the K2s and stuff like that. What a lot of people don't know is if the human brain is actually exposed to too much EMF, it can actually cause hallucinations.
Yep.
So, you know, are a lot of ghost sightings basically the result of random EMF fields and people are hallucinating on the effects of them? You never know.
Well, that's you know, you don't see it as often nowadays, but you go back 10, 15 years ago, you'll have the investigators come in and they'll do an EMF sweep around the thing.
Yeah.
You don't see them often doing it as not no, but you know, you would have to have a considerable amount of EMF to cause illusions. You know, I did have one case where there was. It's a new house. It's on this estate. It's brand new.
Yeah.
And they said they were experiencing stuff. Can you bring some equipment over and we can try and sort out a couple of things. The first thing we tried was an EMF sweep throughout the whole building. Yeah. And it turned out that the solar panels on the roof didn't seem to be insulated in the attic, and there was something like 127 milligauss in the bedroom that they were sleeping in.
Yeah, and this was coming off the solar panels themselves.
Yeah, so basically it was all downhill from there. There was nothing else we couldn't go any further with it because
this is another thing, Sam, because
that's amazing.
The electricity companies now they're doing these schemes where they're encouraging people to put these solar panels on the roofs of their houses. Do you think that we could start seeing now a massive increase in people reporting ghosts in things like new houses, and then it would be, is it going to correlate with these houses having these solar panels on the roof, sort of thing?
Well, I'd be interested to find out in this area will there be paranormal activity, because you can actually hear the electricity passing. There's kids.
Be quiet.
There's kids playing out in the street there. I've done readings of something in the region of 27 milligauss of EMF on the street. Now, where these pylons are, instead of building 2-story houses, they're building one-story houses. And actually, I was outside one of those houses, and I was still getting 15 milligauss of EMF. You know,
see, this is something that I don't understand it, but they'll tell you too much electricity with me. Like if I walk past, something makes me very ill. I vomit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is one of the symptoms of it. That is a known symptom of being exposed to our EMF field.
Yeah, it makes
it's headaches, nausea, and hallucination. They're the 3 main symptoms of being exposed to our electrical fields.
Real.
See, we've got the area up here, Sam, which is close to me and Claire, which is known as Stockwell Bypass. And what is really interesting is there is a very famous apparition there that has been reported by thousands of people, which is a group of children holding hands under the pylon singing
and the
monk, but these children are literally reported right underneath the electrical pylon.
Yep,
I've seen that on another channel, which I'm not going to mention really.
But
they had their REM pod. They had their REM pod and their EMF detector, a complete waste of time.
Yeah. This is one of the problems with Stockwell is you can't do. It's pointless taking a K2 meter there, because where everything happens is the children actually appear under the pylon, literally in between the pylon legs.
It's always the same thing, isn't it, Brett? As well, they're always doing the ring
of Roses. It's always a group of children holding hands in a circle singing Ring of Roses,
which is about the plague.
Yeah, and the monk itself appears on the section of motorway right to the side of the pylon.
I actually have a story about the monk, because I know a friend who was driving through there, and he swears blind to this day. In the back of his car, a frigging monk appeared, and he had the smell in the car was of cigars.
Yeah, there's a lot of reports of people where he actually materialises in the back seat of the car as they're going down the bypass.
Oh God, that'd be my biggest fear. Looking in the rear view mirror.
There are various things of how he appeared. The most famous case was when he appeared to the two policemen, and he basically appeared the one side. They were on top of the bridge, right next to the pylon, and he appeared the one side of the police car, right against the window, and the policeman looked up at him. And then he blinked out and immediately appeared on the passenger side, and he was looking at the passenger through the window. Yeah. And that was two policemen. But
he was in the back. It came from nowhere.
People who have seen him standing on the side of the road. He has appeared actually in people's cars on the back as they've gone past that stretch road. He has literally materialised in the back of the car, and he has also appeared to the side of the car and kept pace with them.
Now, he never saw a face, Brett. He said he didn't see a face. You know, it were a cloaked figure, but it was just the way it was like,
He's always described as a dark hooded, basically a monk with his cowl up.
Yeah, but you can't see it.
There are at least 40 cases now too where he's actually appeared in the back seat of the car.
Do you believe he might be causing accidents, seeing things like that? Though?
Yeah, well, people, he has actually been blamed for causing accidents.
Yeah, I can believe it.
He's appeared in the back of people's cars, and they've literally just panicked. One person said that has actually had him appear in the passenger seat as he was driving past, and he was one of them who had an accident.
Is the story about the girl that had the motorbike accident from there?
Not that I know to. What is interesting about Stockwell, though, and the children is just down the lane from where that they appeared. There was basically back in the 1800s when they were still using kids in factories and stuff. Apparently, there was a cart or something transporting the kids. Literally went haywire, and there was an accident with his cart, and a lot of the kids were killed on the cart. And they often link those kids to the actual ones who were doing ringa rouses around inside the pylon.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, like, yes, EMF can cause major effects to the human body, but is it also possible that it could be a factor for stone tape theory?
Well, this is what I'm getting on to next time. I'm doing stone tape theory.
Or indeed apparition of spirit. You know, that's why we sort of use the EM pumps. To say it feeds the energy. Some say it hurts the energy. It's at the end of the day, there's not a wild lot of science to it because scientists are still baffled by it all.
Yeah, James says there's another place, and I've got to be honest, I've never heard of this one. There's another place called George's Hill, and a black hooded figure sits in the back of the car as you drive down the hill. I've got to be honest, I've never heard of that one.
No, me neither.
Yeah,
where's George's Hill, James? Joanne and Matt are still talking about extraterrestrials. See, I think another explanation for extraterrestrials could be like the ghost one, where there are actually our descendants coming back in time to take a peek. Because who knows what technology we're going to have in 3,000 years' time?
Yeah, we had in my lifetime a similar case to the cases that you mentioned about apparitions in cars, except for this was it's a place called Barnesmore Gap, and it's between Balbofay and Donegal town here in County Donegal.
Yeah.
And it involves actually a priest in 1981, and he picked up a girl in the middle of a valley between Balbofay and Donegal town, and he then noticed on approaching the girl that his radio in his car started playing up, and all the electrics was all starting to go crazy and stuff like that.
Wow.
The girl got into the back of the car, and it was a really cold night, and he noticed that her head was up against the window, but there was no breath of condensation or anything like that. And anything he asked her to drum up conversation, she didn't say anything. And then when he got to a certain point, he says, "Can you let me out here? This is where I died." And next thing, he
I'd
looked
have been out
around.
the car and said, "Let yourself out."
She was gone. She just disappeared. And apparently he got out of the car and he took out his holy water. He blessed the ground. It's a difficult one. You know, it's come from a priest, and it happened in my lifetime. And you know, we've often been scared driving through there at nighttime.
Yeah,
Actually, we did see a girl tumbling in the valley one night, and we just decided we just flip and drive on because we were that scared. Do you know?
James has said, Claire, interestingly enough, it's George Hill at Claverton in Nottinghamshire, so it's not that far away from us.
Oh.
That's only about 20 odd miles away from us then.
Yeah, I like Sherwood Forest, so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting. Right, stand tape theory then. Can you turn me blue, Brett? Yeah, if I choke you, Terry. Right, Claire, what's your opinion on stand tape theory?
I mean, I believe it. Mm-hmm. Do I know anything about it? Mm-hmm. No, it's not something. Because the way I was brought up, to be honest, Brett, it was something that weren't talked about because everything was energy. We were learned that everything was energy, and we just stuck to that, the elemental side of things. Yeah. Never really learned about it. I'm not going to lie, but I do believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sam.
I know a little bit about the science of the theory, you know, and it sort of relates to the magnetic tape recorder, or the crystal recorder. In stone, there's a certain amount of crystal. What's it called? I can't remember the name of the crystal, but there is a certain amount of crystal in stone.
There's a lot of quartz in a lot of stones as well, and quartz is piezoelectrical. So, you know.
Yeah.
Crystalline.
Yeah, if we're expelling energy, you know, there's a possibility that energy is attracted to that crystal, even though that crystal itself, you know, I can pick up crystals and I can get tingling on my hands. I'm that my hands are that sensitive. So, you know, I can't take out a meter and record the energy off that flipping stone. But I know, when I go into a craft shop and I see one of these big, huge, you know, these big, huge crystals that you split open and it's all a cavern of lovely. I love put my hand in there, you know.
Yeah.
So I know.
I want to put my head in. Let me put my head in.
Yeah, I get this stinging sensation for hours afterwards. It's one of the things I'm addicted to when I go into one of these shops. I have to stick my hands in.
I'll buy you a tank of piranhas, Sam.
Well, so some people say I don't feel anything off it at all, but I can put my hand over these crystals and I can feel the resistance and that.
Yeah.
So is the energy of a person drawn in by that crystal, and and the theory is, on the right conditions, the right temperature, the right environmental conditions, is that human energy coming out with the energy in that crystal and projecting it as an image.
Yeah. See, I do believe that stand tape, what people call stand tape theory, does occur. For me, though, I think it is actually a bit misnamed because I believe it can happen in other things apart from stone. Yeah. I believe it could happen in wood, it can happen in plastic, and I think this is why a lot of people, when they get these so-called possessed dolls and things like that, you know, I think this is energy actually, because dolls and teddies and stuff like that, they go through a lot of emotional trauma with kids. If a kid's upset, the first thing they do is grab their dolly or their teddy, and I believe that they can imprint into, you know, that energy can be imprinted onto the teddy. But I'm like you, Sam, in the thing that I believe that there have to be certain conditions, and I don't know what they are, whether it's the conditions have got to match to the actual time the energy was absorbed or what, but I believe that there does have to be some kind of external factors that go on to trigger a replay. Because if it was just a recording that was playing over and over again, they'd be going on constantly.
Yeah,
but some of these residual, hauntings, they happen on specific dates and stuff like that. So I believe there's got to be a certain set of conditions met before these recordings, if that's what you want to call them, will actually replay.
Yeah, it's also linked to some of these apparitions of headless horsemen, apparitions with no feet, and the theory is that the energy is damaged in some way. It's like a tape being damaged, and the image isn't fully there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not strong enough to give you the full image, and that's why you see images with no feet or no head. You never see a image with no stomach, no middle. It's always no feet or no head.
Yeah, and I think that's because like they're traveling. If it's like soldiers and stuff, they're traveling on roads lower than what they are today. Roads have been built up and built up and built up. Back in the Midlands where I came from, there's a place that's actually called Roman Road, and that it's called that because they've seen a legion marching down there, but they're cut off at the knees, and they believe that because when they did all the archaeological digs, they realised the actual Roman road that they walked on was about a foot lower than what the road is today. So that is why it looks like they cut off at the knees, because they're still walking on the actual physical road that they walked on.
Yeah, there's villages. There's a village in England, and the whole place is supposed to be haunted. And headless horsemen is supposed to be seen. But when you think about it in a logical sense, the soldier and the horse are two different beings.
Yeah.
So possibly, that's a playback of residual energy as well.
Yeah. Terry's just come up with an interesting comment, and I'll read James's out in a minute. She said, maybe it's just another dimension appearing only as head or only feet. That's a possibility. If they are coming through from another, dimension, maybe they're not coming through fully. That's possible. I'll read this one of James because this is interesting. My uncle drove lorries, and once a week he used to pass an old Air Force base in Lincolnshire. And each time at that spot, the lorry would cut out and the passenger door open. Yep. He said you could see where somebody was sitting on the seat, and it would stop in his lorry until he passes the base the following week, and the lorry would stop and it would get out. I just wouldn't drive past there.
I'd quit and work on McDonald's or somewhere. Yeah, just quit.
I'd find another route. I'd find another route. Get
out of the truck.
Back where I'm from, there's actually quite a famous. There's a big hall down there. It's called Imlay Hall. It is connected to the gunpowder plot, and there is a legend of a woman who used to live in that house. Who was apparently she came from the common stock of the area at the time, but she married into the family and lived into the thing. But when she died, she wanted to be buried in the commoners' graveyard, which was on the opposite side of the road to the Lord and Ladies' graveyard, where they bury the people from the house, and they buried her in the posh graveyard. And even to this day, you can go down to Imlay Hall now, and outside the thing, on the section of the road where between the two graveyards, you can see skid marks where people have claimed a woman has literally walked out in front of them late at night, and they've had to slam the brakes on to miss her. And then when they've got out the car, there's no sign of her. And even to this day, you can still see the skid marks on this particular section of the road, because even to this day it's still going on, and she's quite a regular one that's reported. The other one that's linked.
Sorry, go on, Brett.
Go on.
I know I was just saying the soldier thing. My auntie, when she was younger, I mean she's not here now no more, but the soldier thing. Have you ever? One more woods have got them going through at a particular date, particular time or something. My auntie, I remember this story from when she was younger. She actually saw. Well, she heard them first. She heard marching. Yeah. And it was early hours in the morning. They'd been clubbing. They were very naughty. They were underage. Point is, they were on her way back, and she was walking with a friend. There was two of them. They heard the marching, and at first they saw nothing. Yeah. But then it kind of formed out of nowhere. But they didn't have it. She remembers they didn't have like from their knees down were gone.
They did or didn't?
They didn't have any from like. From the knees down, they didn't have nothing was there, but the rest of it was seen. And I just remembered that, but that was Wungor Woods.
See, somewhere like a woods, the level of your woods changes all the while anyway, because as the leaves fall every year, it forms more compost, doesn't it? And it gets deeper and deeper in the woods. Woods always, the height of a woods, that's why eventually, if woods have been there long enough, they're normally risen above the ground around them.
Yeah.
It is strange, though, that there's so many stories with a lot of detail in it, but there's not an awful lot of film or photographic evidence.
Yeah.
That's the strange thing about it,
Yeah. But I know the one where that woman crosses from the posh graveyard into the commoners' graveyard in Imlay Hall is still going on to this day. And the other one round the corner, which there was like a lodge type house on the grounds, is called Old Beach House, and that is actually an old age pensioners' residential home now. But that was a scene of when they committed the gunpowder plot in whenever it was. When was it? I don't know.
God.
All the Midlanders who were involved in the gunpowder plot actually fled to that house, Old Beach in the Midlands, and the King's Army went and attacked them there, and there was a fight, and a keg went off, a powder keg went off in the house, and there was an explosion in the house, and only one person escaped out the house on a horse, and he galloped down the road, and he went into a swamp and drowned. And on bonfire night, there is a figure been reported galloping down the road at high speed, and people have reported Old Beach House on fire to the fire brigade. They've seen flames coming out the windows and stuff, and when they've got there, the place is perfectly fine.
Wow.
When you think about, technology and stuff, one thing that possibly might help all this is nearly all cars now have a night vision camera on their dashboard. Yeah. So be interesting to see if anything rises from all of that, because now there's cameras everywhere. The thing is, you have you've cities and towns now, and for public safety, there's cameras everywhere. I can't walk anywhere, and that's in the nearby city without being spotted on a camera somewhere.
Map says it was 1605, the gunpowder plot. Right, I'm going to ask you both a question, and I've been asked this loads of times, and I always give my own answer to this. Why do you never see ghosts of dinosaurs or cavemen or anything like that?
But I've seen a ghost or a dinosaur, I think.
No,
I might have been dreaming, but I don't know.
Right, we'll start with Sam then. Why do you think? And then we'll hear about Claire's dinosaur, because this is going to sound like a Why do you think we don't see things, because most ghosts are basically about within a 400-year period, ain't they? I'd say normally, or the most common ones.
Yeah, this has kind of gone through my head at the beginning of the stream. Where you in Britain, there's a lot of 18, 1700s sort of era around that and that. Would it be possible that the energy starts to deteriorate and just that energy cannot be seen anymore over after a certain amount of time?
That's my opinion, Sam. I think ghosts are formed from energy, and I think eventually the energy dissipates into somewhere else. It changes form into something else, and this is why after a certain time, unless there's really strong energy there, it would just naturally dissipate and change into something else. So come on, Claire, let's hear about your dinosaur.
Oh, do I have so? It was when I was younger, though. It weren't just me. We were a group of friends.
Come on, then.
We were in woods. When I was younger, I was a tomboy. I would always in woods. I was climbing trees. I would just that kind of. I weren't a girly girl. I am now, but I weren't then.
Yeah.
And we were playing. I think we were. To be fair, I'm not gonna lie. My friend was prodding a frog with a stick. Okay,
right.
It's wrong. Don't ever do that. It's very naughty. No one do that ever. But
they weren't blowing it up with a straw or anything.
I'm not going to comment on that one.
Right.
But the point is, they were playing with the frog in the wrong way. And I didn't like it because being what I started getting right, I took about it, Brett, to be fair, and it upset me.
Yeah.
Now, I remember I walked to the water's edge and across, it went into massive streamer out, you know, like them little ones that you can step up, it or only one of them. And there's like foliage. I swear a raptor came out of there, but just its head and its you know, the claws with the feathers.
Yeah.
It came out, but it didn't go back. It just vanished. It just weren't there. And my friends screamed like little bitches, and I'm just like, oh, you know. But was it something because I was distressed and my energy created it? I don't know.
Do you think it might have been because you'd all eaten too many mushrooms?
Yeah, I mean, it could have been that, but no, I was too young for that. Otherwise, I'd have said yeah. But I don't know what it were. I honestly couldn't say. It could have been. Kids have very good imaginations.
Yeah,
we do. You know,
because there are actually photos that are out there on the internet, and they actually these were in like America during, you know, the early pioneer times and stuff in America, where there's pictures of American soldiers with their foot on a pterodactyl that they've shot, and apparently that's not the only photo, you know, in the old US where they've got pictures of hunters and soldiers with what basically look like dinosaurs that they've shot.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. I mean, this was a split-second thing, Brett. But the thing is that got me was that when I first saw like dinosaurs and saw a raptor, how they produce a raptor, I was like, that's not a raptor. Raptors have got feathers. And I knew that from seeing what I saw. That interested me because how would I know that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Very weird.
Right, Matt's just asked a question that goes back to the aliens, and it's one of my favourite subjects concerning extraterrestrials. Above paranormal, did something happen that the humans in history that changed how and what we're able to perceive? I believe that our species was genetically altered at some point in the past, and whether this made us more sensitive to this kind of thing, I don't know, but I do believe that at some point in the past, and I think it's during the period where you've got the missing link, that was when we were based. I believe we are somebody's giant biology experiment. I do genuinely believe that we were genetically altered at some point in the past, and this is why the missing link has never been found and never will be found, because there is no missing link. We literally jump from one species to another due to genetic manipulation.
Yeah.
Sam, I know this is right down your alley of disbelief. Go on.
I kind of got lost there. Sorry.
It's all right. I did it earlier on Julie's stream when I totally zoned out when I was telling something to me. Right, I believe that in the past we were actually genetically altered by aliens or extraterrestrials or somebody. I believe that there was a species, a civilization, whatever you want to call it, who manipulate. We were little monkeys. We'd just come out the trees. You know, we were on the way to developing into something, and I believe that we were genetically altered to jump generations of evolution. And I believe that is why there is a missing link that has never been found, is basically because there was no missing link. We were literally altered overnight. Well, you know, I ain't saying overnight, but within the space of, say, couple of hundred years, from one species to another. I believe we are a giant biology experiment. And I think this is why we're still being visited.
Gone wrong.
Yeah. When you think about the cavemen and they had to go out and hunt and that, and they were expert hunters, and you see some of these tribes in the jungle and that, and you see the modern age, and like most of us couldn't hit a cow's arse with a shovel.
I had tried some. I had tried that, but you know.
Sam's got a particular affinity with cows.
So, you know, I mean, like, and you know, science said that we only use a fraction of our brain.
Yeah, I think it's less than 10%. I think they estimated that. Is it something like 9% to 8% of our brain?
I use 3, but go on.
But you know, way back in those times, I wonder, was that percentage bigger? Because they were very skilled in that.
Yeah.
Not that we're not skilled now, but
see, I believe they have still been coming back to help us, because if you look at the Mayans and the ancient Egyptians and, you know, the ancient Sumerians and people like the Dogon tribe, that they had got, Sam's still laughing, they had got either technology or they had got knowledge of things that we, like, is it the Dogon? I can't remember how you pronounce it. They had actually got evidence in their history of Sirius B. Now, Sirius B was only discovered in 1957. This.
I can't. I've just got visions of cows and shovels in my head.
I know, it's going through my head, and I'm watching Sam's face as I'm talking and trying not to crack up, because he's about to have one of a moment.
It happens every stream. Yeah. There's always. Oh God, it cracked me. Delayed reaction. Delayed reaction.
Right. Terry's asked about the pineal gland. Now, I don't know much about the pineal gland. I know it sits...
Pineal gland.
The what?
The pineal gland.
Pineal gland, however you pronounce it.
In your brain, yeah.
It basically sits in the area where your third eye is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I don't know if they've even discovered the use for it yet, but there is a belief that it is connected to psychic ability. Opinions? Sam? Do you think you've got some big gland in the middle of your brow that this could possibly be the cause of...
Well, we have got a pineal gland, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know we've got one of them, but, you know, do you think it's connected to psychic ability? Because I believe they've done tests in the past on people who've claimed to be psychic or have, you know...
yeah, they have, but I believe
it's bigger pineal glands than everybody else.
They might have, but I do still believe it's within us to be able to access it anyway. So it's like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think our brain is more powerful than we actually use it, because society has conditioned the human being after a couple of years after birth. You know, the human is conditioned to behave and think in a certain way, you know.
Yeah.
And yes, think in a certain way.
You know? It is, because you think about it, right? How many times have you seen a mum sit with a child and the child's coloured a pig in blue and the mum said, no, it's pink, colour it in pink? Yeah. I've seen that loads, you know, and then I realise.
You know, but talking about mothers and kids, how many times has a mother been in another room to her child and known that their kid needs them even though they ain't heard them?
Exactly, yeah.
You know, it's that kind of link as well. You know, I do believe that kids are a lot more psychic than we are, than adults. And I think it is because we are socially conditioned as we get older to disbelieve certain things, and I think we develop mental barriers towards it.
Well, our Christopher's like that, Brett, because he absolutely to this day, and I know that he's like 15, but with special needs is around about probably 7 in his, you know, 6, but he still claims that he's visited by what we know as aliens.
And what does he describe them as, Claire?
He doesn't actually describe them as greys.
What does he say they look like?
He says that they are tan to a greeny colour.
Mm-hmm.
Some are tall that come and see him. Some are very small, like as in like small this big.
Yeah.
Now the tan colour ones, they have a nose, they have a mouth, They have eyes. He says their eyes are bigger, but they're not big black eyes. They're just bigger in general. They have no hair. And one of their fingers lights up, and it touches him with this lighty up finger, and makes him feel better.
Has he ever watched E.T.?
No.
So he ain't got it from E.T. or nothing.
Hell
like that.
no, I've not watched it yet.
See, my son used to be like this when he was younger. When he was like 5, 6, 7, he used to swear blind that his nan used to. Well, it was actually his great grandmother, but he always called her nanny. And he used to swear blind that, she used to come and sit on his bed and talk to him. But he did also used to claim that people used to walk through the wall to talk to him. Now for me, that ain't the kind of thing that a kid is going to come, because kids tend to be very, they tend to go on what they've experienced. Now, there's no way seeing anybody walk through a wall.
My eldest, he once started, when he were having night terrors, what they called them, he used to talk, he was talking Latin, backwards, forwards, didn't matter. Didn't know we were doing it, of course. Now, he claims he saw, and this is his exact words, it's right weird, he called it a blood jowl. I said, a blood jowl? What do you mean a blood jowl? I don't know what a blood jowl is. And he said, because it looked exactly like our Joel, which is his brother, but it had blood on its top. But it looked exactly like Joel, so we used to call it a blood Joel, which is odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know all this?
Already started a gambling again.
Nearly forgot about that. Do you know what, this whole conversation all tonight? It brings me to a conclusion that I have invested stupidly in an awful lot of equipment. What is the best piece of equipment to capture the paranormal? And that would be
your body
and a camera. These other pieces of equipment, they're all based around a certain thing, but they're just tools. That's what they are. Your own body, first of all, and then your camera.
Matt says he's market made, but he wants to be outside in the woods or hills. I'm like that at the moment, Matt. I like to be out walking. I was actually out walking today when Claire was messaging me, and I'm thinking I'm going to fall in the canal in a minute.
Sharon just messaged me because she was putting in chat but weren't seen, so she messaged me and said that something about the gun plot thing was 5th of November, her birthday.
Right. Sharon who?
Sharon.
Well, she was on earlier on.
She is Sharon. She is on, but she's not. She says, I don't know if anybody's seeing me in chat in the. Yeah.
Tell her to type something, and I'll check whether it was coming through earlier on because it was.
Type Sharon. Sharon Pepe, yeah. Pepe.
It's not great. Don't come up. It's not Pepper. She's all today.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
If I can find it.
I'll say because I'm pretty sure she was the first one to type earlier on.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
20 to 9, but last time she commented.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, but she said she's typed it, so nobody's seeing her.
Tell her I'll check that when I've finished, because that is really odd, because I'll say she typed earlier.
Yeah. God knows.
Because she actually asked me what prize she was going to get for being first on, because I actually said, "Oh, you've won a prize for being first on," and she said, "What?"
If I'd have known that, I'd have been ready.
These type of chats, Sam, I think they're brilliant because we could have 20 of us in this chat, and 20 of us would all have a slightly different opinion on every subject. And this is the beauty of the paranormal. You don't all have to, but you don't all. There's no need to fall out over things. Just because you don't agree with one person's opinion, doesn't mean that they're any more wrong than you are, because we don't know for certain what they are.
But that's what I said. I always said that. I don't know, but what I was told or what I was taught, exactly. But I don't know definitely,
Well, usually there's 3 of us. There's myself, there's Brett, and there's Andy and that.
Mm-hmm.
the three of us very often has three completely different views on something, but we don't cause any drama. We don't cause any drama amongst each other because, you know, at the end of the day, the paranormal, you know, belief is caught up in it. You know, science is caught up in it, belief is caught up in it, and there's only a tiny fraction of it proved.
Yeah.
The rest of it is.
Before we carry on, Claire, I want to show you a picture I took this morning on this bridge, and it's really interesting. I've showed it to Sam, but this has been painted on a bridge that I've known for at least 18 months, and I think it's really interesting to say it's been done in this day and age. And basically, what it says there is Exodus 22:18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Now, that is on the bridge that is 5 minutes walk from where I live, under the bridge. And if you look, it's actually painted over the top of all the graffiti that's originally there. So it's definitely something modern. But don't you think that's an interesting thing to be appearing in this day and age?
Yeah, I do.
Is the book of Exodus, is that the Old Testament?
I've no idea. I presume so.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if that actual phrase is in.
The number is 22:18, but I had to cut it off to get I couldn't get any further back.
No, it's definitely in there, Sam. Definitely in there.
And that is actually painted on the wall of the bridge, and it's been there for about 18 months. Obviously, you can see people have sprayed over it since. But you know, I think for somebody to, you know, why would somebody be putting that in this day and age?
Don't know.
I wonder, is there anything in the Bible about damaging other people's property?
Probably. Yeah, it is a very strange thing to see, James, but it's obviously been done. I know it's been there for at least 18 months. I know that for a fact.
It's very odd, that, though.
You know, I don't know how long it was there before then. But
very odd.
When I went down the canal today, I thought I'm going to take a picture of that and show them on the stream tonight. But you know, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
I don't know. I'll go and skip down there and stand there and say, "I'm a witch. Where are you?"
When I go down there, I always think of that bridge in my head as Witchfinder Bridge because that's sprayed on the wall underneath it.
But of course, as you know, a witch is not really a witch. A witch is a pagan, medicine woman, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
They just changed it up as time went along. Witch.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. That's not how it goes. They just go back to like medicine women, midwives, even. You know, that's all it is.
Yes, Jace. It's the bridge. It's the bridge by the big basin. You walk under there most days. It's literally on the left-hand side of the bridge under the canal.
What's wrong with that?
See, that's how observant Jace is. He walks past it pretty much every day.
Lee's taking piss out of you, Jace. He's saying you walk around with your eyes closed.
He does. He actually, and I'll kid you not, Claire, that is 6 foot high. that is not a small little thing. That is actually 6 foot high. Those letters are about 10 inches high.
Does he go around like the modern human now with the phone in hand?
He's normally got his headphones on, listening to his what's it. So he's to what's it in that.
What's it is to what's it in that. I like it.
Jace, you can only walk on that side of the canal. It's the big canal with the basin. If you're walking on the other side of the canal, you're walking in the canal.
Probably does, yeah. Because you're like, why am I wet?
There's no towpath on the other side because he's got to walk past it. I'll take you down tomorrow, Jason, show it you.
No, it's very odd. Very odd.
Oh, he's even sheltered under that bridge when it's raining.
I couldn't believe that.
Oh, honestly. Well, you've only got to ask Lee what it was like when the day he come over to us.
He told me.
Honestly, I'm screaming, Jace, we're here, and he's just looking around, and he's like 30 feet away from us.
Skip He's in his own world.
Honestly, he'd forget his head if it weren't screwed on. He is. Jace is the new Jesus Christ. He walks on water.
Well, that's good.
I'll show it you tomorrow, Jace.
It was him that wrote it. That's why it was him. He went out at night. Oh, yeah.
Honestly, I can't believe he's never noticed it. It is literally 6 foot high on the wall. Literally.
Oh, well. Oh. Maybe you should give him a magnifying glass to carry.
We'll do one. What time is it? And then we'll do a general. Right, we'll go on to the last one. Demons and angels. Sam, do you believe or not?
My faith says, yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
The strange thing about me is I've got 2 hats. I've got my faith hat and I've got my science hat.
I had a really dirty thought then, Sam. I'm sorry.
Well,
go on, carry on.
And sometimes the 2 of them just do not match. I'm fucking missing something here. The penny hasn't dropped.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So how do you marry them together then when they're in conflict?
I'm afraid to answer. Even though I don't know what you're laughing at, I'm afraid to answer that question.
Right, I'll word it another way. Which one of the 2 acts tends to take priority with you?
Usually the logical science hat, basically.
More so than the religious one.
Yeah. Now, people say angels and demons and that. I had an experience where I had been attacked.
Right.
Not in a physical way. Well, it affected me physically and that.
Mm-hmm.
And that attack happened at a what do you call it, holistic fair, on front of loads of people, and it involved one of them tea candles exploding into just a big flame, and it burnt a hole on the table and that. But I don't know if it was a demon. I know it was something negatively attacking me.
Right.
You don't think it might not be too much energy in the area, and
because it's very, it'd be very difficult for a normal tea candle to flare up like that on its own, wouldn't it? Because they're tiny little things.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, of course it would.
Well, I burnt hundreds of candles, and none of them ever.
I have as well with tea candles.
Yeah, that morning I actually was very agitated, very cranky, and once that episode happened, I almost fainted, but had this overwhelming sense of relief.
Right.
Wow, I like that. That's awesome. Yeah,
and I was that scared that I actually prayed to God to help me.
And did it work?
Wow.
Do you feel that it worked?
I can't explain it scientifically. When I look at it in a belief sort of way, I believe God did help me.
Yeah.
Do but can I look into it into a scientific way? I can't. And that's where a lot of the problems are. science isn't going to solve a lot of the paranormal.
Yeah.
That's where the problems are.
Yeah,
you know.
This is the problem, because a lot of the paranormal cannot be quantitatively measured, can it? This is the problem. This is the problem. There are things that occur that don't always occur the same way or at the same time. There's no way of quantifying it. And this, you've got to be able to quantify things in science for them to be accepted.
And a lot of people in science will not touch this with a barge pole.
Yeah. Because
they know for a fact that just there's no end to this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no. It's one thing that there's too much to it. It's just a massive rabbit hole of question after question.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond the science, and that's where the problem is. Angels. I like to think that there is. I like to think that there is a place after this that is full of peace. And it goes back to what I said earlier about what we put in our imagination. Because we can't physically see, we do have to put a picture in our head. But when you look at it, is that such a bad thing? Is that such a bad thing?
Sharon's there. Sharon Ardill. I can see her. Can you see her?
Yeah. Yeah, Lisa.
Perhaps we must have just been missing it. So, Claire, what's your opinion on angels and demons?
Well, I believe in lower level energies and higher level energy beings, but do I call them? I guess you would call them angels and demons. I would just call them little shits and probably light beings. I guess that's how I see it anyway. It's dead odd, but that's just me.
See, I'm similar to you. I believe that there are positive and negative entities out there for better things. I don't believe in them as in the Christian belief system of actual angels and demons, but I do believe that there are positive things out there that can influence you and negative things that are out there that can influence you.
Yeah.
So I suppose I do believe in angels and demons in a way.
Yeah.
Not in the respect that most people believe in angels and demons.
Exactly.
I believe as yes, Sharon, I can see you. Let me put yes, Sharon.
Oh dear.
Terry says everything is a vibration. Yeah, it always is for women, Terry.
I did get that one.
I see you go. Right, that's probably it. So we've been going over 2 hours now talking on various paranormal subjects. So we'll just go into a general chat for a bit if you want before I close the stream down. So is anybody up to anything interesting or want to talk about anything?
I came here and got it all wrong because I thought we were meeting at Woods.
Were we? How was Sam going to get over here?
Magic. Broomstick. Get the vacuum out, Sam, and get on it and get 3 clicks.
Teleportation, yeah. My spacecraft, because I'm a blue alien.
Yep.
So that means you don't believe in yourself, Sam. So how can you be sitting there?
She's a figment of our imagination. She's not really there.
Oh, I let that slip. I only said I didn't believe in aliens so I could keep myself out of the spotlight. Now I spit the beans.
Terry has asked, does holiness exist? For me, I wouldn't class it as holiness. I believe that there are greater powers out there than us that can influence.
Yeah.
So I suppose if you class that as holiness, I suppose yes, I do.
Now I'm going to reveal myself.
You're going to pull your mask off. You're going to think there's a giant lizard.
Yeah, I'm a lizard person.
Oh, God.
Don't you dare get swallowing the dog. That's why the dog was waving his hand around earlier. Please don't swallow me tonight.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God. Anything anybody wants to talk about? We'll just have a general chit chat. Because it is, you know, I'm only going to run it for about another 10 minutes. We'll go till about 4:15.
Brett, I just wanted to mention the Ouija board. The reason I do it is because I believe it's our subconscious that pushes it and does things. I don't believe it's the spirit.
Yeah, well, I'm exactly the same. I think I suppose you could say it was a spirit, but I think it is something that works through us to do it.
Yeah, I do.
You know, I think it's done that way. I
think Hollywood made it.
I don't think you've got like some invisible spirit sitting in the table shoving the planchette around. I just don't believe that. I do believe it is done through us.
I've just got a message that says my facial LOL. Dare I even open that picture?
It's not off James, is it?
Oh no, it's a nice one. No matter.
Was it off James?
No, it's on Sharon.
Right, Terry says a thing's sacred. That's one for you, Sam, because there's a lot of things in the Catholic belief in there that they consider like. Do you believe that things are sacred?
Yeah, I actually do, believe it or not. In a way.
Yeah, yes. I mean, life is sacred.
Yeah,
to me,
life
is sacred.
What I was going to say.
Oh,
When you know, I don't watch films where people kill people because I don't. You know what I mean? I don't. I just find this. I just find this. People shooting people and they die. And it's not.
Yeah, gunshots will do that.
Yeah, not thought deeply enough. That's a life finished right there.
Right, but
you
people
know,
regard and they don't register, do they? It's all conditioned. They're so used to seeing it. They don't.
Yeah.
Well, I have to be honest. Somebody had sent me a file of a recent incident that happened on Facebook. And a friend of mine says that did not affect her because she watches horror films. I had to take a couple of days off. I had to sort of try and think of something else because what I experienced really, really badly affected me.
Yeah.
I don't, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Something happened.
Yeah.
Something happened online.
Mm-hmm.
A person took their own life.
Right.
Did not know.
Live on.
Oh my God.
I didn't know.
I seen the whole thing, and people were sharing this, and I'm thinking to myself, why are people doing this? Do you know? I've seen some of these terror attacks, and I've seen them live on Facebook. Why?
Why?
I get badly affected because
I was sent something years ago, Sam, and even to this day, seeing it has haunted me. And I went ballistic at my friend who sent it me, and she basically sent me this video. No saying what it was. She just said, watch this. And basically it was a Russian soldier in the desert somewhere. I don't know whether it was Afghanistan, Iraq or wherever. And this is years back. And they actually cut his throat live as there was. And even to this day, Sam, I can still remember vividly what that video, and I went ballistic. And I do think there's certain things that should never, ever be put on social media or sent to people in video format, and that was definitely one of them. Definitely.
But some of these things are in horror films, and people are entertained by it.
Yeah.
I find that hard to understand.
Well, I love horror films, Sam, but watching that, there is a difference between knowing you are watching something that's fantasy and you watching something that you know is actually real life and has actually happened.
Yeah.
No, Terry, I believe there's other things apart from. I think all life is sacred, but I do believe that there are other things out there that are sacred.
I do as well, yeah.
You know, it ain't just life. I do believe there's other things out there that are sacred.
I do.
You know, and I don't think human life is any more sacred than the life of a rabbit or anything.
Agreed.
I think life itself is sacred. You know, whether it's human, amoeba, or whatever.
You know, sometimes I deep think, you know, and you know, you go to the tap and you get a glass of water.
What?
And
What?
a glass of water.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? Such a deep what? You deep what?
Went to the tap.
I'm a deep thinker, like.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
You know.
Ignore my head. Carry on.
What did you think she said?
Deep throat.
Oh.
Because my mind's a mess.
Oh, jeez.
She was going to get a glass of water, and I'm thinking, what? What are you doing? You know.
But you know, we take water for granted.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, you know, you look at it in the river and that, you look at it in a glass, it is strange looking stuff.
What water?
Love it.
When you think about it, it's
I do get what you mean, though. Yeah, I do.
It is kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
But I love water. I drink like 8 a day, 8 glasses a day.
But that's sacred because that's the giver of life. That's you know.
Yeah. Same for sunlight, oxygen, anything like that. They should all be considered sacred. The planet itself should be considered sacred.
Oh gosh, yes, definitely the planet.
You know, it's the only one we've got. Yeah, Sam's a deep thinker. That's what you said.
Mother Earth.
He will go for this one. Say 33rd, Sam.
33rd.
33rd. It's a good job, Andy. If Andy had been on, he wouldn't have been able to say a thing for the next 5 minutes for laughing.
Yeah.
What is it you like? What is it you like, Andy, saying?
Can't remember now, but
there's something Andy used to say that used to make you all with laughter, and then every time you said 33rd, he'd start. I can't remember what it was, Andy. He used to say that used to make you laugh.
Yeah, it's because of the accent as well. Yeah. You know, I have a Donegal accent, but you know, Derry, they talk really quick, and then you know there's another town just about 10 miles away, and they talk a mile a minute. You wouldn't. It's very hard to decipher.
I've met one of them. Yeah.
And sometimes
hobgoblin.
Hobgoblin.
Joanne's just put it on hobgoblin.
Hobgoblin.
Yeah, they even wrote it on the package that they sent to me. They sent me a picture of the crying boy. And he wrote a message. I can't remember. It was something to do with hobgoblin, and they give me a little gnome, but I still have it in my collection of weird stuff.
Yeah, I've got one of them, a little gnome off them. Yeah, I've got one of those up there.
Yeah.
I thought you'd have had a goblin off, Andy, Claire.
Well, it was his choice. He sent me the gnome. I'm not sure if it's because I decided to call him Jesus Gnome, though.
Everybody's calling him Jesus Gnome now.
I'm sorry.
Seago says, I suppose water is technically one of the oldest substances on the planet. I suppose it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because without water, there'd have been no life. We all crawled out of the sea.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of it when you think of it too, fire's a bit weird.
Do you know, fire fascinates me. I can sit in front of the fire for hours and just stare at it.
Yeah.
I used to actually have a fireplace screensaver on my computer, and I used to sit there for ages and just watch it. Fire fascinates me. Yeah, I'm an earth sign. You know, I should be more attracted to earth stuff, but I absolutely love watching anything fire related.
Yeah, well, here in the city, we don't burn coal anymore. So, you know, everything is gas and that. But people are still having a TV screen with the fire just to have that visual still. You know.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it too.
Do you think as we've gone more towards technology, we've gone less towards the spiritual sides of things?
Some others, yeah.
Do you think technology has killed a lot of what we could have, if we hadn't have developed technology? Do you think we might have gone in a different way and gone more, things like psychic gifts might have developed a bit more, would have been more common?
I do, but then again, when I was a child, all I did was play in woods. And as I grew up, technology came into play, and I realised I was more fascinated with technology than.
Yeah, I was exactly the same.
And then you get older again and realise, just back into the woods.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
Well, the thing about what we're doing today, we're depending so much on that technology. What happened if the internet crashed throughout the world right now? Some people would be even locked out of their flipping fridges, like.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I never thought of that.
Do you know?
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if YouTube suddenly disappeared? Some people wouldn't have a life.
That's true.
Me included.
They'll be daft.
Joanne says she's scared of fireworks, and frying in case I start a fire. Always have had a fear of fire since was little. A lot of people would put that down to reincarnation, Joanne.
Yeah, the word.
And, they say things like birthmarks are connected to, past deaths and stuff like that you carry over into your new reincarnation. Yeah.
Because my birthmark is a perfect circle, and it's right near my flute. It is though, but it's a perfect circle, and it's right near my flute. I'm just being honest. It is. That's where it is.
You need to have a tattoo above it saying "poke a little lower."
But it is. That's where it is.
Sam's tried to cope with that one.
I only got the tail end of that, but I can piece it together.
Claire said she's got a little birthmark, which is a perfect circle above a flue.
It's
now,
like
flue here standing your private parts.
Tuppence.
So I said you should have a tattoo above it saying, "Please poke a little lower."
But yeah, that's where mine is. But it's a perfect circle, though. Like,
have you got any birthmarks, Sam?
No.
No, I ain't either.
What?
I ain't got any birthmarks.
I thought everybody had one.
No, not everybody. I ain't got one. I remember reading once on a past life, and it was actually a small child who swore blind that he'd been a soldier in World War One, and he remembered being shot. Yeah. And he got a birthmark like a bullet hole in exactly the area he claimed he'd been shot in.
I know
that
somebody.
One was quite interesting.
I know somebody. In fact, I'll try and bring her on to show you. You lift her hair up, and on the back of her neck, she's literally, her birthmark is 666.
Oh wow!
It's weird. Hey, she don't think on it. She don't. But it's like, but it's weird how it's done.
That's supposed to be the sign of the Antichrist.
He's not in a line though.
Can you imagine what her parents thought when I come out and saw 666 on the back of her neck?
It's not in a line though. It's like it goes from small to big. So it's like 6 in the middle, then 6, and then 6. It's right weird.
How weird.
That'd be interesting. Tattoo. You could put www.666.com. I actually seen a I'd say a lot of you have seen it. There's a guy, a picture of a guy. He shaved his head, and there's this little sort of a round mole at the back of his head, and he decided he would tattoo a basketball player and use the mole as a basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joanne says she's got a strawberry birthmark. They're the most common, ain't they? Strawberry birthmarks.
Yeah.
Terry says she has one, a long light one down my arm, but it's covered by tats. Gregory begged fucking wrestling kid into the church.
Not having my birthmark.
Terry says she was born November the 6th at 6 p.m. in 66. There are kids walking around who don't know what a CD Walkman is. That's right, that is.
Yeah, that's true. I remember cassette players.
Yeah, it makes you feel really old now when you say to somebody, "Oh, I used to have a Walkman," and they look at you like, you know, they think it's a walking frame or something.
I've still got a fully working. It was my grandma's when she was younger, and she had it all the years, and it still works. And it is a record player. It's got the date on it at the back from when it was last serviced as well. And it's a wooden one. It's a wooden one.
A radiogram.
No, it's a record. It is a record player. It's got where you put your records on. And
Yeah,
you put
my
the
dad's
needle
got
on
one, but they used to call them a radiogram. They've got a big.
It's beautiful.
You see, my dad's is about, I'd say about 4 foot long.
Yeah,
it's got a really old, you know, like record player thing on it. But it's also got a radio on the front. They used to call them a radio.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah,
but
my dad's got one.
Beautiful.
Yeah, my dad's is the same.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? How they play so crisp even after all this time.
Seagull says I'm almost 30 and feel ancient. Wait till you get to 50.
Yeah, it'll happen for me next year. I have a Sony Walkman that's actually it's actually hacked as a spirit box.
A lot of the old Walkmans apparently make really good spirit boxes.
Yeah, I don't know if I have it here. I do. I have it here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put your tape in there.
Could you actually record the radio while the spirit box is running, Sam?
No, it's not a recorder. It's just a player.
It's just a player.
And I think the motor isn't. The motor's running, but it's not connected. And that actually can be hacked as a spirit box, and I actually use it now and again.
I was actually talking to somebody the other week saying, you know, I can't imagine now what life would be like without a mobile phone. Because when I was a kid, there was no mobile phones. It was all red telephone boxes that you used to, you know, if you hadn't got a phone in the house, you used to have to go to the, with the turn dial, you used to have to go to the phone box on the end of the street. You rarely see them now.
My grandma, she was stubborn. She had one of them turn dial telephones until she passed away. She won't get a new one. Turn it, friggin' turn it.
I always remember when I was a kid and my mum and dad had the phone put in, and it used to be party lines, and you used to share it with another neighbour in the area. And sometimes you'd pick the phone up to make a call, and the neighbour would be on their phone, and you'd hear them. You'd hear them.
Yeah.
You could spy on the neighbours what they were talking about.
But the logic in that was really odd because the 9 was right at the end. So when you wanted to ring 999, it'd be 9.
Yeah, you had to dial it all the way around.
No.
Yeah.
By the time you get it, the dead. It's point, you know? It's weird.
Yeah, I remember my auntie used to work in the telephone exchange, and it used to be part of the post office. It was the one company. It was called Post and Telegrams at the time. And you go in to buy a stamp, you'll see my auntie in there with all these plugs and wires connecting up different things. Amazing stuff. Yeah.
Well, like Joanne said, that is where the saying crossed wires comes from, innit? When they plug the wrong wires into the telephone exchanges, that's where the saying comes from. You've got your wires crossed, you're listening to the wrong conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lee says, what about knowing? I think I would have to think about finishing it if the internet ever disappeared. I love, you know, if I was on a desert island and they said, what's one thing you'd want to take on a desert island, I'd have to say the internet.
Well, Moisturising cream.
I love my internet.
Moisturising cream. Claire likes using
John!
mine.
Shut up!
What did he say? Claire likes what?
No, right,
You've got to
listen.
explain
It
that.
was an accident,
Go
right?
on.
So he put his fucking L'Oreal for Men outside on my hydrating cream. And I picked it up and I slapped it on and I'm there like, it smells like men's something or other. What have I got? Because I couldn't open my eyes. Because I've got it in my eyes. And I was using Lee's L'Oreal Expert for Men, and I was mortified by that, by the way, because it's just wrong. But actually, it was quite thick compared to mine. Mine was quite thin, and his were really thick. I noticed that.
I actually saw a picture on Facebook that my mate sent me the other day, and it was an old woman in the supermarket, and I don't think she realised, but she'd actually put a sanitary towel on as a face mask. And she was walking around the supermarket with a sanitary towel over her mouth.
Well, you do know you can make face masks out of bras, don't you?
Yeah, you can. There was a bloke who did a YouTube video about using a woman's thong as a face mask, and it looked quite cool, actually.
Yeah, you can.
Sam's thinking now, which pair of my pants can I try on later? I'll be coming on in the extreme with the pants pulled over her head.
I can't because I don't wear underwear. I'm commando.
You'll have to do a pair of Lee's boxers. Just cut eye holes out of them.
No, he wears funky ones. I've got emojis on and stuff. Funky. He's always got to wear like funky ones that say weird stuff. Really wouldn't match around my mouth. It'd just be hard.
Where's County Down? Is that Ireland?
Is in Northern Ireland. It's the same
that's
province
where,
as myself.
Sharon is. Sharon says she's in County Down.
Yeah, she is, yeah, she's in Ireland. Northern Ireland.
You say that's so much nicer than Americans wouldn't do. What's that, Terry? We say what so much nicer? So is it far from you, County Down, Sam?
I don't know. I think so, yeah.
Ireland is 50 miles across, Sam. Surely you know where County Down is.
You're asking me to think at 11:30 at night. That's not going to go well.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Did you get your donation, Sam?
Oh, yes.
Good, I'm glad.
Was that from you, yeah?
Yeah, because I tried to do it when I was watching it live and it just kept saying there's an error. Please try again. There's an error. It wouldn't load it.
All right.
So I had to wait and then go on to the about. And I don't know if I needed to update it or something. But anyway, I updated and then I were able to do it. Because usually I do it on a live stream, but it weren't having on it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think I missed it because I was, and I normally don't, but I don't know what came to the top of the chat, so I'm not 100% sure.
Because it went to live stream or anything like that. I went to your about and then went on to support.
Oh, the PayPal.
I did that. Yeah.
Oh, that was you. Thank you very much.
Sam Market Mate says, what county is Derry in?
Derry is in County Derry. Derry's. I'm living in Derry City, but
that is your dog, isn't it? That's your dog.
The city's named after the county.
That's your dog behind you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Do you know, Claire? When we started the stream, I asked her exactly the same thing because she was talking to me, and I saw this movement.
Yeah.
To the right side of it, and I'm like, Sam, is that your dog next to you? Because you could just see a very pale shadow moving in the background.
I saw one. All I saw was took my head, and then I saw these twice, and I'm like, is that a monkey?
I should have turned her out. I should have turned her out and went, what dog? I don't see any dog. They was scared the life out of you, and it's very, very dark behind me.
I asked her exactly the same thing before we come live. I'm like, Sam, is that your dog next to you? I could just see anything. Very pale shadow moving. I thought, Jesus, there's something moving behind Sam.
I don't see any dog.
I repeat myself, I swear, when I saw it, I'm like, oh, in my head.
I don't see anything.
Is that the dog that you caught on the SLS camera, Sam, and spent an hour talking about? Is it that one? Then you see that stream, it was absolutely classic. Sam's SLS stream. She sat there for an hour having all these great captures, and then right at the end went, oh shit, it's my sofa.
and I put it up.
Right at the end of the stream, I went, oh shit, it's my sofa.
And it looked really exciting for about 40 minutes, and then they go, you know something, guys? I think I've just mapped the end of my sofa. But anyway, I tried. I'll see you in the next one, folks. And I still put the flipping thing up. But I think
we've all done it, Sam. We've all done something funny.
I think it shows that it kind of educates as well that, you know, the false positives. So
yeah.
But I'd say it might piss off an awful lot of people. They're sitting there going, "Wow, that's brilliant!" You know,
I was one of them. Though. That's the thing. I'm like, wow.
See, that's why when I'm in somebody's stream, I always like to take the skeptical view, because if it turns out to be false, I don't look like a brat.
Right, but you know what? I'm like, Brett. I mean, come on. I believe that Necrophonic had ghosts talking to me through it when I first, because I don't know anything about this stuff. So I'm like, oh my God, then ghosts are amazing.
Sam, do you want to tell Claire about your ghost radar when you first got into the paranormal?
I've done that one.
It sounds like Claire did it as well.
I did. I was chasing freaking ghosts with it. Come on.
Sam did exactly the same round Derry.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. And then I was thinking, I'm walking around along the side of the river and that, and I see the history, where all these warships came into dock and to come in and get supplies. And then I'm thinking, it might be spirits of the soldiers and stuff like that. But everywhere you went, there was these little.
I know.
And I was in my apartment and I was seeing this ball on the thing, and I'm saying, do you know what that might be? That might be the guy that died in his apartment.
Yeah.
You get a story that's going to fit,
Yeah.
I did it with one where it actually shows you spirit materializing. You could communicate with it, and I'm like, ooh, trying to talk to this spirit.
Can you imagine how many people actually used that app and were frightened to go to bed when they were sitting in the bedroom using it, and someone appeared at the bottom of the bed? Can you imagine how many people that app has absolutely terrified?
But the thing is,
they use it on shows,
Yeah, but the thing is, a person trying to make it fit, that can scare the life out of them. Some people actually thought that the stream was kind of funny, but I decided one day I would try out, while I was at an abandoned hospital, I would try out the Paratech app. And every single word, I could come up with some sort of a...
Yeah, right.
And it was starting to get funny at this stage,
Yeah.
Mind you, I'll tell you what I did the other week. I went on one of the walks down the canal, and I was walking down the bit where all the trees are, and I kept hearing these voices, and I kept looking around, and I couldn't see nobody, and I'm thinking, shit, I'm starting to hear things. So I walked a bit further down, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm going to have to tell Jace about this, because we'll come down here with the spirit box. I got a few bit further down, went to take my phone out to tell Jace that it was what was going on, and there was a YouTube video playing.
Oh dear.
I've been listening to it for 5 minutes thinking I can hear the voices down here and there's nobody around. And when I went to take it out to message Jason's voices down here, and there was a YouTube. Oh, you must have triggered it in the pocket.
I had the life scared out of me one night. I had just come back from an official investigation with a group and stuff like that, and I had all my equipment in my sitting room and that.
Yeah.
Went to town anyway, and I came back, and the dog was running around frantic and that. And I says, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she goes up to one of the cases and that, and I says, "What's going on?" So I thought not know, but anyway. And next thing, I started hearing this woman's voice. And I'm sitting having a cup of tea now. I nearly fucking drowned myself. Do you know what happened? One of my walkie-talkies went on by accident inside one of the cases.
And it was picking up a signal.
Yeah. I nearly had a shit attack.
It was just as well it were in a live stream, I tell you. I'll tell you,
that would have been awesome.
The funniest ever investigation I went on where I couldn't stop laughing was when we went to Wombwell Woods and we
Wombwell. He says it properly. Wombwell.
Wombwell.
I know it is.
We went to Convict Tunnel, and there is actually, people claim there is a poltergeist on top of the bridge. So I went up for a look, and you have to climb up this really steep bank to get onto the top part of the bridge. So I went up for a look, and I came back down, and then Jace decides he wants to go up. Now, Jace is a bit clumsy on his feet, and he's practically on his hands and knees.
A bit. Lisa's a lot.
Getting up to the top of the bridge, and I kid you not, and I let him go up there for a few minutes, and I could hear him shouting down to me, and I picked a stone up, Sam, and I kid you not, I lobbed it up to the top.
You poor bugger.
It hit the wall. The next thing, I kid you not, Claire, it took him 2 minutes to get up this bank. He came down running, and I mean literally running. He went that fast at the bottom. He had to grab the tree at the bottom to stop himself going head first over the barbed wire fence, and he swung round the tree at the bottom.
Oh, you poor bugger.
He went ballistic at me because I wish I'd have filmed it. It was that funny. And then we went back up, and he got attacked by a bat, and that was it. I honestly thought he was going to jump off the bridge. There was a bat flipping around. You'd never seen anything like it. He was flailing his arms round. He was screaming. He kept ducking. He kept running one way and the other. And in the end, we had to come off the convicts bridge because I honestly thought he was going to kill himself. I honestly thought he was going to run off the
We've got a bat that comes in our garden. It just flies.
Jace hates them. He absolutely despises them because I think he don't like rats and mice, and he sees them as. See, he's laughing. He can remember when it happened.
But you see, I believe that pigeons are rats with wings.
Jace hates them. He hates anything like. He don't like rats and mice, and he don't like bats. And this bat kept flitting around him, and he kept doing this, but he kept scuffling backwards and forwards. And there's no bar at the top of the bridge.
Lee doesn't like anything that jumps at all. Like, he doesn't like crickets or frogs.
Funnily, do you know, I used to work in a reptile shop, and I used to hate it when people come in and ask for locusts because I used to hate touching them.
I don't like them.
I'd quite happily pick up a 10-foot python, but ask me to pick a locust up, and it used to terrify me.
That's Lee. He's terrified of freaking moths. He runs away from them.
Ask Jace what I'm like with moths and butterflies. I absolutely despise them.
Eat them.
Same with house flies. I can't stand flies anywhere near me. If a fly comes at me, I'm like, get off.
Wow. Yeah, you're the same. You're on the earth side, aren't you?
Yeah. I hate them. I cannot stand moths. All butterflies. I don't want them anywhere near me. People go, oh, damn pretty. I'm like, come near me.
One of the funniest stunts we pulled, I think it was last year, myself and Rachel, we were sitting in the kitchen. The next thing I get a notification that Paranormal Tech is live. And there was a guy that Philip used to investigate with, and I had his phone number. And they were in this forest, right? And it was pitch dark. And the guy goes down into this hollow in amongst the trees. And next thing, we just get the the phone number ready, and we're just waiting for the right moment. And then I've just Rachel just goes, call. Next thing you can hear on the live stream, the phone going off, and you could hear him shuffling around in the dark. And next thing you hear the phone going off, and he goes, hello, hello. And next thing, bang, straight into a tree. You could hear this big fucking pump, and the two of us were just dropped to the ground, crying, laughing.
Yeah, Joanne's just reminded me the other thing. I'm a bugger for doing it. I ain't done it at this so much at this house, but at the old house, Claire, I've got a grey dressing gown. And when Jace used to go upstairs to get ready for bed or to get to the toilet or something, I'd put my dressing gown on, pull the hood up, creep halfway up the stairs, and then just strike a pose like this. And as he comes round onto the landing, he used to scream every single time. I used to dress like the monk.
He does things like that to me. But he's gone one step further. He put my bra on and my summer dress and ran at me. My bra and my summer dress and ran at me. That twat. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you wearing?
But Jace is really jumpy. He is really jumpy, and you can get him. I often used to do it, creep up the stairs and wait for him to come around the corner. He used to shriek.
I'm very jumpy though. I'm like that. Yeah, I'll jump at anything.
The only thing, like I say, the only thing I freak out is things flitting at me, like moths and stuff. Bats and stuff. Bats I love, and birds. I've got no problem with birds. But moths, butterflies, crickets, grasshoppers, I just can't cope with them.
That's Lee all over.
It is now 20 to 12, so I think I'm going to call it tonight.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Right, you two hang on because we'll have a quick chat when I finish. But thank you everybody for coming on tonight. It's been a fun night again.
Thank you, guys.
It was nice all the subjects we covered and then the funny chat after. But I should be on again. I don't know whether it'll be Sunday. If not Sunday, it'll be Friday, next Friday. But I'll definitely be on one of my regular times. So I'll either see you Sunday or Friday. So thanks to Sam for coming on, and thanks to Claire for coming on. And thanks to everybody for coming into the chat and contributing to the channel. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Good night, folks.
You're supposed to say bye, Claire, not wiggle your fingers.
Bye. Sorry. Bye-bye.
Good night, all.
Oh, cheerio. Cheerio, Claw. Cheerio.
Good luck now.